Are you ready to take off but feel weighed down? Just like a plane can't soar with too much baggage, we can't grow when we're carrying fear and unforgiveness. That's where Fear and Forgiveness, a 16-day devotional and fasting journal, comes in. This book was created to help you release what's holding you back and move forward. Whether you use it as a standalone devotional or pair it with fasting, these 16 days will transform your heart, mind, and spirit. It's time to let go and rise higher. Grab your copy of Fear and Forgiveness today at barnesandnoble.com. Welcome to the Modco Podcast, conversations about life, organization, entrepreneurship, and everything in between. This show was created to provide motivation, inspiration, and a reminder to give yourself grace. Here, we are transparent, non-judgmental, authentic, and love to have fun, because sometimes you need to laugh at yourself. I'm your host, Angel. Sit back and get ready for valuable tips, resources, laughs, and more. If this is your first time here, welcome. And if you've been hanging around for a while, welcome back, and I hope you brought a friend.
Welcome to another awesome and exciting episode of the Marco Podcast. Be sure to grab some food and drinks and just chillax.
Today, I am chatting with Whitney Aguon. Whitney is an entrepreneur, podcast host, and mom navigating the beautiful chaos of life. As the owner of Aguon Studios, she helps small business owners with branding and system creation to bring their visions to life. Whitney is also host of Caffeinated Chaos, a podcast where she dives into the messy yet rewarding balance of entrepreneurship, parenthood, and relationships. With relatable humor, actionable insight, and a dash of wit, she connects with fellow parentpreneurs trying to juggle it all. When she's not behind the mic or supporting her clients, Whitney enjoys playing video games, strolling through Target with her toddler, or binge watching shows after the kids go to bed. So everyone, let's welcome Whitney to the show. Hi, Whitney. How are you?
Hi, Angel. So good to be here.
Yes, it is so much fun. So everyone this is Whitney and I's second time recording. I am on her podcast this past Monday. She released a new episode and I am on that episode. So make sure that you go check it out and support Whitney's show. We had a great time, lots of laughs, and I know that is going to continue over here. So y'all know telling what we may end up talking about. I think on Whitney's show, we talked about like pens and other pens and other random stuff. I'm not going to give it away because you need to go listen to the episode, but it was just a fun, great episode. So I can't wait to see what we are going to get into today. So Whitney, what shows do you like to binge watch?
Okay, so recently I've just started the newest season of Will Trent.
Okay.
So I watch that when the kids are not awake, but when the kids are awake, we've been watching Tanked. It's about the guys from Las Vegas who build aquariums, because it's fish,
Right.
So the kids are really into that, and the baby, my 8-month-old, she really likes the reveal when all the fish are actually in the tank because pretty colors.
Right.
Other than that, if it's during the day, you can catch me watching Sesame Street with the kids.
Gotcha.
Because I have to watch what they watch. It's either Miss Rachel or Sesame Street.
I feel you. I got it. Yeah, my kid was stuck on Mickey Mouse Clubhouse. To this day, hearing that theme song makes my skin crawl. It makes me cringe. I was so happy when we got out of the Mickey Mouse Clubhouse stage of our life. And so now sometimes when I'm watching shows, he'll be like, is this for adults only or can kids watch it? Because I really want to spend time with you right now. And I'm like, okay. So I've been trying to bring him into like shows that I watched growing up and I can have a bit of nostalgia. And I know that I'm not going to be bored with whatever YouTube kids nonsense he's into these days that I just don't want any parts of. So I got him to watch Rugrats. I don't know if he ever finished it because then he goes and he starts watching shows without me. And I'm like, dude, this is supposed to be our thing to do together.
Okay, question on that. Did you watch Rugrats All Grown Up like 10 years later?
Yeah, I did. I liked it, but it wasn't like the best. I prefer
it wasn't as good.
Yeah, it wasn't. I wasn't feeling it as much. So I haven't introduced him to that one. I've only introduced him to the original one. He's like, why is Angelica so mean? I'm like, she just is. And I got him onto The Sweet Life of Zach and Cody. So I think he's watched that whole series like 2 or 3 times. So I'm trying to get him into more things that I like. So when he wants to watch TV with me, we can at least have that to watch.
Are you moving on to The Sweet Life on Deck?
So I also did not like The Sweet Life on Deck, but he
Okay.
has watched The Sweet Life on Deck and he loves it. I think he's watched that at least 2 times because one day he was saying something and I was like, that didn't happen in The Sweet Life of Zach and Cody. And he's like, it's The Sweet Life on Deck. And I was like, oh, he said, did you not watch that? I think I watched maybe 2, 3 episodes of it and I kind of gave up on it, didn't do it. And he's like, oh, so yeah, he's watched it all. So I'll let the two of you talk about it. Sorry, Whitney. I feel the disappointment coming.
It wasn't that was after like I was a kid, but my sister who's 12 years younger than me, she was really into that and the whole High School Musical generation. Yeah, I think I've seen one and then I know what happens in the other ones just because like I said, my sister watched them. She had the lamp, she had the pillows.
Oh wow.
For me, I was like I had when I was a kid, I had the whole bedspread of Beauty and the Beast. That was
Mhm.
my jam. My sister
Yep.
had the Lion King spread. You know,
Yeah.
back when your whole bedroom was matching your curtains, your pillowcase,
Everything.
everything.
Everything. Yes. I think I did have a Beauty and the Beast bedspread. My mom listens to the show, so she'll let me know and she'll probably list every bedspread that I had. But I'm pretty sure I had Beauty and the Beast, and then I went through a phase where I was obsessed with cow print. So then I had everything cow print, bedspread. I think my mom got someone to make me a cow print rug, curtains,
Nice.
like the whole nine. And then after I got over the cow print, I was stuck on Winnie the Pooh. And so I had like everything Winnie the Pooh, all these Winnie the Pooh stuffed animals and all of that. Yeah. That
Yeah,
was
I never quite grew out of my Beauty and the Beast phase. It's still my favorite animation to this day. My husband actually bought me a Beauty and the Beast inspired ring. Like
oh
it's by Zales and Disney. It's
yes.
their enchanted line. So that's the
Yes.
ring I have.
Oh, I love it. Yeah, I've seen those, and I'm like, "That's so nice." I'm like, "But I really love my ring." But I'm like, "I really like this Disney ring too." I saw one that I really liked that I thought was really pretty. I'm like, "Oh my gosh, that's so gorgeous." I kind of want one. So, well, that's cool. It's like the stone's like yellow. Am I correct?
No, it's still a diamond stone,
Okay.
and then so it's white, oh, sorry, not white, it's silver, and then underneath the band, between the band and the finger is a rose gold rose on the inside.
Oh,
It's, like,
okay.
super pretty,
Okay.
I'll send you a
Yes.
picture of it.
Yes, please do. I must be thinking. I know someone else had like Disney inspired rings too, so I must be thinking about that then. But yes,
There
please send me
are
a
yeah,
picture.
there are rings that are, that do have colored gems. The engagements all have diamond rings,
No,
though.
okay,
Yeah,
got you. That makes sense. Okay,
yeah.
cool, cool, awesome. So, okay, Whitney, because we'll be talking forever
We'll be
about
talking about this
everything.
forever.
Yeah, about everything under the sun. But it's so much fun. So, why did you create? Okay, I'm gonna say this right because I had it in my head. Why did you create again? Did I say that right?
Yes, you did.
Yay!
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not gonna try it again. So, why did you create? I am gonna say again Studios.
Good. Yes.
Yeah.
Perfect. You were like one of the few people who can actually get it right the first time.
Yes.
Yeah. So, Again Studios is by me and my husband. It's our last name. And we kind of stumbled into it really. I've always been a systems girl. I would love to I help people get more efficient and all that. And so my friend, she had a candle making company, right? Small little side business that she had. And she came to me and she's like, I need help with this and that and designing something and branding and getting out there. And I was like, okay. And then I was like, let me just look up and I was like, oh yeah, okay, I can, help you with this. And so I started helping her and designing like flyers and sales ads and all that for her. And I was actually at one of her pop-ups and people kept coming up to me and they're like, "Hey, I heard you made the banner for your friend. Can you make one for me? Can you do this? Can you do that?" And people started asking me because she kept saying, "Oh, ask my friend Whitney. She's coming on Sunday. Ask my friend Whitney." And we got so many requests that we were just like, we could totally just be doing this as our side hustle. And so we started Ugin Studios as kind of a way to do custom printing and helping basically small mom and pop, vendors who are just going to pop-ups and, side hustling. And it kind of just took off from there. We kept getting orders every month and then we're like, okay, well, let's make this thing official. So we did. And we came up with the name Ugin Studios because at the time we were doing a lot of design work. And
Mhm.
so I was just like, well, I'm becoming an Uggan, or I just became an Uggan. It was right after our wedding. And so I was like, well, now that we have the same last name and we're going to do this together, it's our family business. And so that's how it came to be.
I absolutely love the stories of entrepreneurship where people are like, I just kind of stumbled into it. It wasn't
Yeah.
my plan. I was just helping someone else out, or I just needed to do X, Y, and Z for like myself. And next thing you know, it's like this full blown business. Like I love those type of accidental stories. So that is a really cool story. And like kudos to your friend for promoting you and hyping you up and being like,
Yeah.
"Hey, check her out." Because I think that's awesome too when someone's promoting you and hyping you up, and there's like, "Check this person out," and giving you your credit where it's due.
Yeah, especially since it wasn't actually even a business yet. It was just me helping my friend out.
Right.
So I love that too. And it was something where I was in the mental health field. So it wasn't even in my field that I was currently actively doing. And
Right.
it was just a nice thing I was doing for a friend, and it kind of snowballed.
So how long have y'all had the business?
So it's been official since like 2021. Don't ask
Okay.
me what month, I keep
Yeah.
forgetting, but mid 2021. And yeah, we kind of just, after we got married, we're like, okay, let's just sign the papers. And so our marriage became official, and then our business got paperwork got signed, and then yeah, off to the races basically.
Okay. Cool. I love it. Everything, a marriage and a business,
Yeah,
all at once.
all at once with the 1-year-old at the time. So yeah.
Okay, yeah. So y'all were a bunch of new relationships and new kind of newborn things all happening at one
Yeah,
time.
it was 2021. It was still kind of mid-pandemic, and so we had to postpone our wedding, and
Mhm.
we just decided that we wanted to keep our timeline with our family. So that's why we're just like, "Hey, cool, now we have a kid who's coming to our wedding," and she was the cutest little flower girl.
Oh, I'm sure she was. Did y'all like do I've seen some people where if their child's like not old enough to walk, that they'll have them in like a wagon or something, that somebody would pull them in a wagon. Did y'all do it in a wagon or y'all just kind of let her do her own thing down the aisle?
So we got married at Disney Alani, and we literally just took, 18 of our best friends and our family to Hawaii, and we got
Okay.
married on the Disney property. And so we didn't even have that. Like, our aisle was maybe like, I don't know, 4 or 5 feet long. It was just like you turn the corner, go up some stairs, and you're on this little cliff area overlooking the beach. And so basically what we did is, instead of having bridesmaids walk in because there just wasn't enough room, we're just like, all of you were all chosen as bridesmaids and groomsmen. You're all part of the ceremony. We're not going to make you stand the whole time. There's only 18 of you. Have a seat, relax. And then he walked in actually with our daughter. So she basically was his escort in.
Oh.
And the cutest little thing happened, the because it was by the pool. The guy who was there actually came up to her because he was just holding her with nothing, and they were waiting for me to get in position, and a pool guy came up and handed my daughter a single rose, and he's like, well, you need a flower. And then so she was like twirling this rose as as a 1-year-old being held by her dad
Right.
down the aisle. And so it was the most adorable thing ever, and she basically just played with the rose the whole wedding, and she was so calm, so nice. It was like the nicest employee.
That was so
Yeah.
sweet, and she like and then she was occupied too, so it's not like she's like, "Okay," she's like, "Hey, I got this cool thing here, like, I
Yeah.
don't really know what they're over here doing, but I got this thing that I'm gonna play with, and now it's my new best friend."
Oh yeah, 100%. And it's funny too because we didn't actually have any roses in our wedding ceremony. He had like taken it. He saw that the ceremony was happening, and he was taking it from a restaurant because his whole reason for being there is because of how open it was. They didn't want my husband to see me as I walked in. And so
Mhm.
they moved one of their big like towel return carts to block me walking, and then
Oh,
me and my
wow.
dad hid behind that while he and my daughter walked down the aisle. And then they were like, "Don't," and then, they're like, "Don't turn." And then I got
Yeah.
into position at the base of the stairs, and then I got to go up the stairs, and he turned, and they got the whole shot of him seeing me for the first time. But it was like the guy's whole reason of being there was to hide me from being seen
I
in
I
my
love it.
dress. Yeah.
That was super sweet. So he gave your daughter a rose. He helped hide you from being seen by your
Mhm.
husband so that you all could capture that moment. Like that is definitely an awesome
He's
guy
a
because
hero. Yeah.
yeah, he is. He went above and beyond and he did not have to, do that. So I love that story. That's super
Yeah.
sweet. Yeah. Okay. So you said that you are a systems girly. So that means that you
I
like a lot of
am.
bit of organization, which I too love a little bit of organization. I love a lot of
Mhm.
organization. And you also said that you used to be in mental health. So
Right.
how did your time in mental health like affect your organization or how did it help you with your organization? How did the two kind of correlate with each other?
Yeah, so I've always kind of, like I said, been a systems girl. When I was actually in college studying, I worked in a mailroom, and that was the first like kind of on the spot job where I got to like keep everything organized because obviously you're getting mail for students coming in.
Right.
There's so much mail, you have to be organized. But then when I moved into my career, I worked at a day program that dealt with individuals with developmental disabilities who had maladaptive behaviors. So we were kind of always on it. You never know if someone's going to get violent or have, some kind of outburst. And so having systems and having a set routine really helps them, but it also really helps the staff be safe. Um, so from basically when I was studying psychology up until actually being in the field and doing that for 10 years, it was always kind of like, okay, how can we keep things organized because we're, in this kind of rough area of you never know if someone's going to have an outburst, that we needed to make sure that everything was kind of set in its ways and everything was, cross your T's, dot your I's, basically,
Right.
especially with paperwork. And so, moving into working with businesses, a lot of the times people will come to me and they're like, "Hey, I have this idea for a business and they said that I should come talk to you." And we really dive into what is your purpose, what is your why? And then from there, how do you understand the world? One of the things I was taught as a psych major was how people perceive things with their visual eye and how their brain focuses on that.
Mm,
So, if you are, think about it, this is a very common one. Food restaurants will often have red or yellow in their logo design because those colors psychologically make you more hungry. I'm not exactly sure which research it is, but it's very common that you can find it online. But yeah, so the way that people perceive certain colors really kind of helps set the tone for your business as well. So we often perceive purple as being more royal or high class, blue as being more trusting. It's the whole kind of blue and pink for girl and boy, girly and manly. But yeah, so I get to help them with that for the branding aspect. And then with the SOPs, so the system operating procedures, what I like to tell people is if you are your business, what happens if you get hit by a bus tomorrow? You could literally like, do you have everything that you need in place today if you are gone tomorrow? If, same with, it's also same for people who have 9 to 5s who run big companies. If you lost an employee, do you know what that employee does? Can you literally hand over a stack of like a manual and say, okay, you're hired. Here's your new job description, and here's everything that you need to know. So I really like to break it down. The devil's in the details. So when I do SOPs too, I either tell people like it's great to record stuff as you do it. And then you can either keep that recording as a training or you can transcribe that video recording into steps. So if it's like click, click the start button in the left, right, that will bring up a pop up and then make it really easy so that you can literally just hand it off to a stranger and they should be able to, like, for example, edit my podcast, you know?
right.
Can a complete stranger do that for me? And it also comes in handy when you're ready to kind of delegate. If you're ready to get an assistant on your journey as an entrepreneur, it really helps with having those manuals in place because you can literally just pass it off.
I agree with that so much. Like, I've never understood why businesses or companies like big businesses, big companies, as you said, 9 to 5s, they have one person that does everything, and that's the only person that knows how to do this thing.
Mhm.
And as you said, heaven forbid if something happens to them, if they have to go out on emergency leave or
Right?
anything like that, and they're the only person that knows how to do this, no one else knows how to do this. Yes, of course, people can figure out how to do stuff, but if there's not even anything there to give you just a little bit of guidance on how to get it started, like how are you supposed
Mhm.
to figure this out? And as someone, I was in the profession of being an admin assistant for like over a
Yeah.
decade. And two of my jobs, it just so happened that the person that did it before me, they were
Mhm.
still there. They had just moved on to other roles because in the interviews, a question that I was asked was, well, what type of training is there for this job? Did anybody leave any like SOPs? Because I would always create SOPs for myself from my trainings that I did so that I could
Me
have that to
too.
refer back to. And I'm like, are there any SOPs for this position? Like, and they're like, no, but the person who did the job before you, they they're still here. Well, what if they hadn't have still been here? How would I have been trained or how would I have figured this out? Because no one else knew how to do it. No one else knew how to do stuff. And then there was stuff that I had access to that no one else had access to. So they definitely don't know how to work that or have any idea of what it is. And so I think that that's really, really important. And I wish that more people would think that that was important and just
Yeah.
make the time to do it. And even as you said, as a small business owner, when it does come that time for you to hire a team or hire someone else, you already have that stuff written out versus now you're trying to teach it to them while you're writing
Mhm.
it out yourself. And I just think it leads to a whole big mess. So,
Yeah, when you're the CEO too, and you delegate a task to someone, what if there's a system update? What if there's something that's different? So what you taught that person, if that person's been around there for 5+ years, at some point there's going to be a software update and things will change. Did you have that person you delegated to change the original SOPs to now match the new system? So
right.
also thinking about that ahead of time. Something I do, because I'm an admin assistant for my day job as well. One thing that I've done for them is, because there are so many moving parts, and I recommend this for anyone who is starting to build out their business, is have a single document. We call it the quick reference guide. And basically, so it's like, okay, how do you do stuff for payroll? And then it's a quick link to the guide for payroll, to the SOP for payroll. And so you add all the quick links to one page, and so that's the page that everybody stars, and then they can use that as a table of contents that will automatically open whichever SOP section that they need. So yeah, it's so great.
Yeah, that's a really good idea. And that's a great organizational tip as well, because that makes it easier than trying to remember how all 5,000 SOPs were saved or where they were
Mhm.
saved at or what needs to go to it when you can just click on that link and then it's going to direct you. So now instead of having a whole bunch of things starred and saved, you just have that one thing saved. Like
Yep.
that's a really good idea. It's very,
Yeah.
very good organization there, Whitney.
Yeah, and it really works. So if you're looking at a company with, I don't know, say 20 or more employees, maybe your admin assistant needs access to everything. So then they have an admin quick guide. So say you're high level, but maybe there's someone who's just starting off and they only need to know how to submit their time card, how to do, notes at the end. So they don't need all the links that an admin executive would need. So we actually have tiered reference links as well too. So tiered documents. So anyone who is this certain job description, they get this reference guide. Then the next tier, the coordinators, they get another tier. And then the admin management, they have full tier where it has access to everything. So you're able to then focus on each group so that you're not overwhelming somebody who has nothing to do with maybe reimbursements or tax season. That's
Right. Yeah.
another way that you can do it if you have multi employees.
Okay. And is this a system that you created or was it already in place when you got
It's a
there?
It's a system that I created. I started it when I was a coordinator, and then I left to have my little one, and then I came back as an admin assistant while I'm training to be the HR coordinator.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
That's a really good idea there. And that's like,
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever heard of anyone breaking it down like
Mhm.
that. Usually, like I said, it's either you have a whole bunch of different things that you have to remember where they are, or either
Yep.
it's this, 1,000-page document, and you're like, okay, I need page
Yes.
25, and then you get to page 25, and this one little paragraph, and you're like, well, that doesn't really answer my question. And then it says, but refer to this section for
Yeah.
the answer. Then you refer to that section. It's just a bunch of mess. That sounds super organized and super, super helpful. Have you ever thought about as like a second side hustle, I guess, writing writing SOP for businesses?
Well, so at Ugin Studios, if we're in the middle of kind of figuring out how we would structure it, but basically we do offer executive assistant or admin assistant like packages. So if
Okay.
this is something that someone is interested in, they can always go to our website, contact us and say, "Hey, I'm looking at your virtual assistant, admin assistant packages and I like package A or package B." So that's actually something new we're bringing to the website
Ooh,
soon.
look at me being psychic and, figuring out what's going on here. Okay. Cool. So, speaking of organization as well, how do you balance your 9 to 5, your podcast, your business, being a mom, being a wife, and all of the things in life?
Oh my god, okay. So there's quite a few ways. So first, my non-negotiables. So things that are absolutely like if somebody's like, "Hey, can you do this on this day?" I'm like, "Nope, that dives into my kid time," you know? So I have non-negotiables. So my day job actually is only 4 days a week. I have weekends off cuz they're closed, and then I have Wednesdays off. And the reason I chose Wednesdays is because my husband always has Wednesdays off. And so we make it a family day. That
Oh,
means that we are both off. Kids are still here, they're not in school yet. We'll go do something. Even if that something is walking around Target, we always do something that day. Or my husband will, he'll cook with our toddler and I'll play with the baby. So basically, it's our day to be a unit. And the only reasons that that day will change is if say for example I have to do something for work or there's something my husband has to do, but we always say let me ask my wife, we'll confer with each other, and then we'll say okay, well we'll do that on Wednesday, but we need to have this day off together. So then we'll both agree to either a Tuesday or a Thursday, have them both off. If somebody's like please cover me, I'm like well then I want your Tuesday.
yeah. You gotta try.
Yeah, yeah. So that's one. So that's our kind of our family non-negotiable. And then when it comes to like the podcast, what I do is I love batch recordings. And on a good day I can batch record 2 interviews and 3 solo episodes. So I can get 5 episodes in one day. And the plan was I batched a lot in March so I can have all of April free from podcasting. And then I'm going to batch a bunch in May and then be free of editing and recording through June and July because those line up with my birthday, my husband's birthday, and the kids' birthdays. So that's kind of how we do it with there. And then yeah, the day job in Ugin Studios, basically Ugin Studios is kind of like when the kids are napping type of thing. I'm also really quick at like my job as far as when it comes to Ugin Studios and getting back to people that typically people are like, "Oh, can we pick this up tomorrow?" And I'm like, "Cool, no problem." Or I'll like finish designing something in a couple hours depending on if the person gives me all their information. So I'm like, "Oh, I'm always really quick. If you get to me by, 2
Right.
p.m., we can probably have something done by 5." And that's just because of the systems I created and having efficiency. I have so many templates on my email, so I don't even have to type out emails very much anymore. I just open a template, set it, change it up just a couple of lines, but basically systems really help increase efficiency. And so when you're asking me how do I do all those things in my head, I'm like, how do I do all those things? But then I realize as I'm talking to you, Whitney, you set up systems for a reason.
Yes, yes.
And this is the
I
reason.
I love a good template. Like
Mhm.
I love it. It makes me so happy, like you said, to just be able to go in there, copy it, paste it, and just change around what you need to change around a little bit and call it a day and be done with it. Like it's
Yeah.
great. Yeah, I'm with you on that.
Yeah.
I am also jealous of you that you can batch record 5 episodes in a day, because by the time that I get around to probably recording episode number 2, I'm frustrated. I was trying to batch record a couple of weeks ago. I wanted to go ahead and get my last 2 I wanted to go ahead and get my 2 episodes for April, I think. I don't know, I can't remember what it was, but I was trying to record and I had all my notes written out. Take 1, I'm, like, getting tongue-tied and it's not coming out right. Take 2, I'm stumbling over my words. Take 3, something happened. So finally, after take 4, I was like, "You know what? Not doing this anymore. I'm done." So that was 1 episode, and I didn't even get that 1 episode done, and then I think I took, like, a 2-day break because I was just so mad at myself for not being able to get that done. But I think I ended up maybe doing 2 episodes a day, because when I finally came back to do it again, I was able to get it out in 1 take, and I was like, "Okay, cool. Let me go ahead and knock the second one out." And then I said, "I'm just gonna stop there because I'm on a good streak now and I don't want to ruin it." So a little bit jealous of Whitney.
Yeah, yeah. It took some handling to get it done, but then when I was like, okay, my friend invited us to Disneyland next month, and I was like, well, I definitely do not want to be recording, during that week, and I definitely don't want to be editing while we're on vacation. And
Right.
so it's just like, what needs to be done, Whitney, to get this done? And so having that internal conversation with myself, and then of course sitting down with my husband and be like, this is what I need to get done so we can have this break distraction free. And he goes, okay, cool. This is what and we have this conversation too, where it's like, this is what I need. This is what you need. How do we help each other? And so right now during this recording, he took the kids out so that I can be distraction free, just me and you talking. And he does that a lot. So it's really great that he is so supportive, and he does a lot of the back end stuff for like Again Studios and the podcast. I'm always front and center. And I am very much such like imposter syndrome still gets me
Me
100%.
too.
I mess up so much, but I mean, that's where the beauty of editing comes into play.
Yes, yes. Love
So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, imposter syndrome still gets me sometimes as well, quite a bit. I mean, we're human.
Yeah.
It happens no matter how much you try to like talk it down or be like, no, it'll creep up sometimes. So I'll have my moments, and then I'll kind of bring myself back around. I'm like, okay. And then I'm just like cranking out stuff and I'm like, yeah, I got this. I got this. I'm doing it. It's like, I don't know if I'm like trying to get it all out before I get my next imposter syndrome moment or what it is, but I get it.
You know what I've been doing recently, Angel? So late night when the kids barely just get to sleep or I'm waiting for them to pass out, I scroll threads. And lately I've been posting like the question of the night or a late night
Yeah.
question. And so when I'm like, oh man, I don't know what to do for my podcast episodes. What are people like looking for? What do they want? So then I post to the different like mom threads, entrepreneurships, podcasters, and whatever they say is their answers or how they react to what I say, I'm like, ooh, okay, this is a good topic to write about. This is a great topic. So late night threads is me doing market research.
Right. Oh, that's such a good idea, Whitney. I haven't done late night threads in a while. I have been so tired. Like I've seen a couple of your questions like the next morning when I'm up and I'm just like scrolling through
Mhm.
threads, but I've actually been getting some decent sleep lately. I know we talked about that on your show about our late night threads problem and issue. I've actually been getting some decent sleep lately. Been going to sleep maybe about 9ish or 10ish. Yeah.
Nice.
Last night, I slept like a baby, I guess you can say. I had my son's field trip. I chaperoned the field trip, and then I had to go to work after that. So I was so tired and so drained last night that I was asleep about 9 o'clock, I think. So yeah, I do miss late night threads though. It's very, very interesting. But I like how you've used that to turn it into your market research. Like instead of
Yeah.
just doom scrolling, you're actually getting something out of it and being able to
Mhm.
turn that into something. So it's kind of a twofer. You got to get your doom scrolling in, but
Right.
you're also learning something and you're figuring out what you can do for your podcast and getting that out there as well. So see, doom scrolling is not all that bad.
It's about efficiency. So
Right. Yes. Working smarter, not
not
harder. So
yeah.
yeah. I'm loving threads. I actually, so I don't know if this is like or not, but I somebody told me a while ago about they schedule their post on threads because I
Yeah.
was telling them, I was like, I forget about threads sometimes because I try not to be on social media a whole lot. So like my Instagram posts, my Facebook posts, most of that is already scheduled. But I was like,
Mhm.
threads isn't scheduled, so I will forget to go on there sometimes. So they told me about the thing that they
There's a
use to schedule,
scheduler.
yeah, for their threads, and I was like, "Cool." So I had started using that, and then I kind of forgot about it, but I started back using it. So some of my threads are scheduled, and some of them are just like me. But with scheduling them, it has helped me because when I get a notification from it, it reminds me. I'm like, "Oh yeah, I need to go and check threads," especially since because normally my time to check it would be my late night doom scrolling, but since I haven't been doing that lately, it
Mhm.
me to remember to go on there and check and like interact with it. But I love threads. I hope that it doesn't get ruined like all the other social media.
You too. And with the scheduling thing, I like to do ours live, at least for Caffeinated Chaos. I'll schedule out some things for Again Studios. And then the client that I do their social media for, I for sure schedule their stuff out. And I like to schedule it for to get those late night like bride scrolling because
Mm,
it's a bridal gown shop. So then I'm always like, oh yeah, people are always active on in the middle of the night, and they're like, well, we're asleep, and I go, but I'm your social media manager. I'll just post for you. And
right.
so with that, like I'll get everything scheduled out for my clients and for the business. I'll schedule it out for Caffeinated Chaos. Whenever you see me posting, that's always just me there. Like it's like, okay, why are you up at 2 a.m.? I'm like, that's the baby's up. That's why.
Right. And we're up, or I just put the baby back to sleep and I couldn't sleep. Or, for me it's like, oh, insomnia kicked in, or I got up to go to the bathroom and now I can't fall back asleep. So
Yeah, yeah. It's like the only time I can take a shower without the kids interrupting.
yeah, it's like it is what it is at this point. So
Yeah.
yeah. Well, tell us about Caffeinated Chaos. How did you come up with the
Okay.
name of it?
Oh my god. Okay. So the name I have like I had no idea what to name it. I knew that I wanted to start a podcast and I wanted to start it actually almost 2 years ago now, but then I got pregnant. That pregnancy was so bad, very difficult. I like had to do IV drips,
Oh
you
my
know.
goodness.
That was so bad. But when I finally had the baby and we actually had more checkups after than we did before. So after the 12 weeks of checkups, I was finally like, okay, I'm starting to feel myself now. I'm ready. I was like starting the research and I was like, I know I want it to be about business, parenthood, and relationships. What do I call it? And I'm like, and like, if I tell you that I was like rocking in the shower, like, what am I like gonna call it? That was how I felt in my brain. I would just be like, okay, come on, what am I gonna call it? Um, and somebody was like talking to me. I forgot which friend it was, but we were talking and catching up, and she's like, okay, your pregnancy was so chaotic, are you doing okay now, and this and that. And I go, yeah. And they're like, now you have 2 kids and they have no kids. And so I was just like, oh yeah, every day is just chaos. It's the one chaos during the pregnancy, it's another chaos now that they're born. And so then I was like, ooh, chaos. And then it's funny because the photo that I use of me sipping a cup, right?
Mhm.
That I actually took with my husband, like, before I even had both kids. And and so, I was, like, scrolling through our memories, and I was organizing our photos, and he's like, "Oh, that's a good photo of you." And I was like, "I like that." And I go, "Well, if I ever get, like, a podcast, I'll, like" I put that to the side, like, "Post for podcast later," right?
Mhm.
And and then I'm like, "Oh my god," I was scrolling through all my old pictures, and I'm like, me at a Starbucks, me drinking coffee, and I was like, "Whoa, I really drank like rock stars and coffees and Cokes." And I was like, "Dang, I had so much caffeine." And I was like, "You know what? I could use some caffeine right now."
Always use caffeine. Yes.
I could and so I was just like and then, because 'cause you're pregnant, you can't have caffeine, right? So
Right.
then I had the baby and now I'm ready for a podcast and I'm like, "Oh, I can have caffeine again." And so Caffeinated Chaos. It just turned into this whole thing and when I mentioned it to someone, someone's like, that would be a good, like, coffee table book too. And I could fill a coffee table book full of chaos.
Yes, that would be, especially, I mean, especially having an 8-month-old and a 3-month-old, I'm pretty sure that you could. It actually makes me think about there's this lady who I follow on Facebook. I'm pretty sure she's on TikTok. Her name's Lindsay. I can't, last name starts with a G. I can't think of it, but she has kids. They're like, I think they're like 5 and 3 or something like that. But I started following her because she would post videos and she's like conversations that I imagine my toddler and my newborn having. And so it was like it's a boy and a girl, and they would so she's pretending to be both of them, of course. Like the 3-year-old come to her and be like, listen, I'm doing my part. Why are you not doing your part? He's like, I peed on the wall. I threw my snack down on the table. I woke him up in the middle of the night. Like, what are you going to do to wreak havoc in their life? The baby's like, okay, so I mean, I guess I can like poop my diaper and, I can wake him up. If you wake him up at 3 o'clock, we'll let her go back to sleep for like 15 minutes and then I'll wake her up again at 3:15. It's like conversation that she imagines them having. And now that they're older, repeat stuff that they're saying and like, acting it out and stuff like that. So you could definitely do a book like that that's with all their stories of things that they're doing.
Oh my gosh. Oh my,
Caffeinated
yeah,
Chaos.
that just reminded me. When my 3-year-old was still little, she was in her playpen. And this was like the weirdest thing out of I think everything she did was we just hear her all of a sudden start giggling really loud. And she's, I don't know, 1.5, right? She's
Hmm.
still small. She's still in the playpen. And we go and she managed to get all her clothes off, right? Butt naked. And I was like, okay, where's all your stuff? She had thrown them over the edge of the crib, right? Or the edge of the playpen. And then as I approached, I'm like, okay, come on, we need to get you dressed. I go like literally right in front of the crib, splash, right? My foot goes into liquid. This girl had decided that I was going to get naked, but I didn't want to soil my bed. So she peed through the netting of the playpen to the floor right before. And I'm like, I feel like you knew I was going to walk right into that.
She
And I
planned
was
that.
like, you set me up. Like,
Yeah. Yeah, she definitely she planned. She
yeah.
did. That's hilarious. Yeah, the stuff that like toddlers do, I feel like it's, I don't know. They've been here before and they definitely know what they're doing. And I think that
Yeah.
they do it on purpose. And yeah,
It's
they're
like
little.
when you think of a joke and you're laughing to yourself, I
Mhm.
feel like she was in there laughing and be like, I'm gonna get mom good,
Yeah. So see, there's your book right there. You can put that on a coffee table and completely fill it up. And also I want to say that when you're talking about like your caffeine habit, I am so happy that my caffeine habit was not, when I was pregnant, that it was not like it was now, because I don't know how I would have survived. I know when I was pregnant, one of my husband's coworkers, she was actually pregnant as well. I think we were like 2 or 3 weeks apart. She was ahead of
Mm.
me, but I actually our son ended up being born before her daughter. My son came early and her daughter came late. So we like, but she was addicted to Cokes and she had a Coke like every day. And her doctor told her doctor's like, you're gonna have to, he told her to drink just like the mini cans a day. Cause he's like, if you
Yeah.
stop now, it's gonna be worse on your body than if
Mm,
you were to continue drinking it, because your body's so used to it. So she would have to drink like just the little mini cans of Coke each day to get her
her little
caffeine.
fix.
Yeah. And when I was pregnant, I was more so coffee, like maybe once or twice a week, just if I felt like it. If I felt like stopping by Dunkin' or stopping by Starbucks on my way to work, I would stop,
Yeah.
but it wasn't like where I had to have it. And I remember at first, like my first probably like 4 months of being pregnant, I don't think I had like any caffeine. And finally I was like, I just want some caffeine. I was like, I just want the taste of it. And I remember Googling like how much coffee can a pregnant woman have or something like that. So I went to Dunkin', I got me like a small coffee and I would do that maybe like once a week as my treat. But now if I don't have my coffee, I never thought that I'd be that person that's like, I have to have my coffee. But now I'm like, if I don't have my coffee, I
Mhm.
freaking want my coffee. And I picked on my mom one time because whenever my son's like coming up to the house, she always makes sure that she has all of his favorite snacks and all the things that he wants. She's like, "Oh,
Mm.
baby woman, what snacks does he have? I got him this and I got him that and blah, blah, blah." And last summer, me and my son went up there and we stayed a week with her. And I was like, "You always make sure that you have all of his favorite snacks.
Yes.
Make sure that you have my stuff." She's like, "Well, I don't know what you like." I said, "You know, I like coffee. Everybody knows that I like coffee." I was like, "Don't see you saying anything about, oh, let me make sure that I have coffee for you." And she's like, "Well, I don't have a coffee maker." So she's like, "I'll go buy like a cheap coffee maker." So I'm like, "You know what? I don't even want it now because tell me you don't love me anymore without telling me that you don't love me anymore. It's cool. Like I understand." And she's like, "No." She's like, I'm like, "Whatever." So yeah, my coffee habit's really, really bad now. Even my son will tell me so. He's like, "Mommy, you drink way too much coffee. You don't need any coffee." I think it was last year in December, maybe. He's like, "I dare you to go the rest of the month without drinking any coffee." And it was like the 4th or 5th for December. I was like, that is, I'm like, the whole month? Maybe what about a week? He was like, "No, the whole month." I was like, "Oh, I don't know if I'm gonna make it or not because I'm just thinking about the caffeine headache that I'm gonna get from it, and
Mhm.
it's not gonna be any fun." Yeah.
So during this last pregnancy, when during the first couple weeks when I was like super dehydrated and they wanted to put me on IV drips, and it was just mainly because morning sickness was so bad. Like,
Mhm,
well, I couldn't hold anything down, including
mhm.
water. So they were like, "Well, if you can't drink a bottle of water every couple hours, then you need to get IV drips." And so eventually that came under control, but I for sure was not allowed to have any caffeine because they're like, caffeine just dehydrates you too.
Right.
And so I went to I want to say it's probably bad not Bed Bath and Beyond, Bath and Body Works, and I got a Paris Cafe smelling candle. See where I'm going with this?
Yes,
So
I
every time
see.
I was like, "Oh man, I wish I could have coffee," right? And I just like turn on the candle and I just sit there, I sip my water.
Oh,
I'm like, "This is this really watered down coffee, mind over matter. Come on, Whitney."
whatever works for you, it makes you feel better. You gotta do what you gotta do. See, and like it's funny because I love coffee. I absolutely hate the smell of coffee. I cannot stand the smell of it. Like
Really?
yes, I do. I would never want like a coffee scented candle, or there are some coffee shops that I can go sit in. Like I'm not a big Starbucks fan anyways. I used to
Mhm.
like a lot, but not so much anymore. But I can't stand like being in a Starbucks for too long because the smell of coffee in there is so strong. And I
So
don't like it.
do you have your coffee, like, with a lot of creamer to bring
And
the smell
I
down?
don't have my coffee with a lot of creamer,
Huh.
but I don't like to like smell it brewing, like how some people are just like, "Oh, I just love the smell of
Oh, I guess
like."
that's true.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
how some people are just like, "Oh, I just love the smell of like fresh coffee brewing in the morning." No, I hate the smell of fresh coffee brewing in the morning. Like whatever I'm making my coffee, I will like walk away from it being made. And then usually I put it in like a cup to keep it warm so the top will go on it. But yeah,
Mhm.
I don't like smell. I mean, I can have it, I don't mind smell if I'm just like sipping it really quick, but to just sit and be like, I have to have the smell of coffee, like I hate the smell of it. I despise it. I know it's super, super weird, but I will drink it all day. I don't want to smell it.
Okay, I'm gonna tell you something weird I did when I was pregnant. So again, I couldn't have coffee, right? But I
Right.
wanted to smell coffee, and I was still working as a coordinator, and another friend and another coordinator came in, and he had this like great smelling cup of coffee, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, that smells delicious!" And he's like, "Do you want some?" I was like, "I don't know, I can't have coffee, remember?" And he goes, "Oh," and I go, "Will you indulge a pregnant woman?" And will you take off the lid so I can just smell it? Was iced coffee and he was so sweet. He's like, "Okay," so he took off the lid and he just drank it without the lid on so it smelled the room. And
Yeah.
I was like, "I love you. Thank you so much."
Thank you for helping a pregnant woman out here. Oh my god. So you couldn't even like they wouldn't even let you do like decaf, like just so you could have the taste of it? Or you just didn't think
I
that
mean, eventually I could, but during those
okay.
first couple weeks where they were about to put me on IV drips, they were like, You need to prioritize water and electrolytes." So everything was like liquid IVs, Pedialyte type of stuff.
Got you. The
Yeah.
boring stuff.
The boring stuff.
Yeah, the boring stuff. The things that these kids do to our bodies, like, it was something I can't remember what it was, but I was eating something and, like, I didn't have bad morning sickness or anything like that. I would just get really nauseous to the point that I wanted to throw up because I'm
Oh,
already a person like, I don't throw up a lot anyways, like, maybe once a year or something like that. So,
right.
I would just get nauseous to the point that I wanted to, but it would never happen. I'm like, "Please, I would just rather, like, throw up right now." And so, I was eating something one day and my son, he just didn't agree with it. I'm like, "Okay, cool, whatever." A little bit later, I'm eating something. So I can't even remember what these things are now. I'm like, okay, cool, whatever. I'm just gonna have to give that up. And one day,
Mhm.
I don't know what it was. Oh my god, I cannot remember it to save my life. But I was just getting pissed. Like I was sitting there eating, and I started getting nauseous. And I remember I texted my husband. I was like, I already gave up this for him, and I gave up this for him, and I gave up that for him. I was like, but he is damn well gonna like this, whatever it was that I was eating. I was like, he's gonna like this. We are gonna eat this, and we are gonna like it because I'm not giving up. I'm not giving this up for him too. Like a little later, my husband's like, well, how did it go? I was like, so far so good. We seem to be in agreement about this one.
The line was drawn. This
Yeah,
is the like.
yeah, it was drawn in the and Whitney, I cannot even for the life of me think about what it was, but I just remember that I was pissed. I was like, no, like this is not what we are doing right here, kid. I'm not dealing with it now. So
Yeah.
yeah.
During my first pregnancy, I had to give up video games. Third
What?
per or first person shooter games. I was my husband and our friends had just gotten me into Call of Duty. I was the sniper for the team. This is where it gets really so many embarrassing stories. This is where it gets embarrassing. The guys were off at work. And
Mhm.
so I was like, "Oh, okay, well, I'm going to practice." And so some of my online buddies were on. So I hopped on and they're like online buddies like you play a bunch of rounds with them and then,
Right.
then they're like, "Oh, add me as a friend." Although you never know who they actually are
Right.
kind of online buddies. And I was like, they're like, "Oh, hey, you're on." I was like, "Yeah, let's hop into a game real fast. I have like a couple minutes." And I during the game, I was heading to my sniper perch while the team got in position
Mhm.
below, and all of a sudden I felt the need to throw up, right, for my morning sickness. And I thought I reached up and hit my gaming headset's mute button.
Yeah.
Guess what? I did not.
Did not
Um
hit the mute button.
I thought I did. I clicked something, I thought it was the mute button, and then I turned and I throw up in the trash can right next to me. And all of a sudden, I hear all three guys go, "Oh my God, Asuna," my gamer tag. "Are
Mhm.
you okay? What was that?" And I go, "Oh, I I am so sorry, everyone." And they're like, "No, are you okay? Like, are you sick? Are you okay?" And I go, "I'm pregnant." And they're like, "Yay." And they're like making their little dance, their like in-game characters like dance and they're like
Uh-huh.
party. And I was just like, "You guys are so sweet. Okay, I'm gonna really mute myself this time. Sorry."
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. And then so they're like, "Well, we can hop out of the lobby. Like, we don't have to play this game." And I was like, "No, no, no, like I'm good. I'm gonna keep going to the top of the building."
That was super
Um,
sweet of them though.
they were super sweet. And then as time went on though, I realized that I threw up a lot while playing the game, and that's because the pregnancy was triggering motion sickness, which I've never had before in my life. So I had to give up first player shooters because even watching my husband play was
Mhm.
getting me nauseous. And
Wow.
so, yeah.
That's interesting. Like, it's just,
Yeah.
pregnancy just does such weird things to the body that you just
Yeah.
never think about. And, you just don't even put two and two together, but it just happened. Wow. But that was really sweet of them. At least they weren't like grossed out or anything like
I
that. And they were
it was yeah.
understanding. But my goodness, Whitney, I'm
I
sorry.
know. Now I don't play
Babies.
with strangers.
Yeah.
With my I don't play games with mics with strangers anymore.
With strangers, yeah, no playing with strangers anymore. Oh my goodness. Whitney, we could talk all day as
We
we
could
both
talk so long.
yeah, as we both know that we could just talk all day. So, is there anything else that you would like to share before we get off for today?
No, just if anyone is wanting to connect, they can always find me on Instagram. And if you're up late at night, you can definitely find me on Threads. For Aguon Studios, it's at Aguon Studios, Aguon Studios. And then for Caffeinated Chaos, it's at Caffeinated Chaos Podcast. And you'll see a picture of me sipping my little coffee cup.
I think we connected on Threads, didn't we?
We did.
Yeah, okay. I was like, I'm pretty sure that I've connected with some great people on Threads. Like, I've been seeing that a lot on my podcast lately, but yeah, connected with some
It's
great
back. It's
people
back
on
when you
Threads.
were night scrolling.
It had to be when I was night scrolling. I was like, ooh, caffeinated chaos. And I was like, she has caffeine and chaos in her title. That sounds like right up my alley. So
Yeah.
yeah. And everybody make sure that you go check out the latest episode of Caffeinated Chaos so that you can hear me
Mhm.
and Whitney and all of our other shenanigans and fun that we had on her show. We had just as much fun on her show as we did on mine. So you will definitely enjoy that episode. So make sure that you check it out and you support Whitney and her podcast. And Whitney, thank you again so much for being here. I have enjoyed talking with you and laughing with you. And I hope you have a great rest of your day.
You too, Angel. Thank you for having me.
Welcome. Y'all know I run on coffee, and so does the Modco podcast. If you would like to caffeinate the show, you can head over to buymeacoffee.com/the Modco podcast. There's an option for one-time support or monthly support. Thank you for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed the episode and that you were able to gain something from it. Talk to you next time.